She stole my life. He is a traitor. I found that out at my own wedding. But what happened next? I never thought it would come to this. The moment I found out my sister, Ashley, had an affair with my husband, Kyle, everything I thought I knew about my family shattered. The betrayal didn't just break my marriage, it unraveled everything I'd believed about loyalty, trust, and the bond that was supposed to hold us together. It all started innocently enough. I thought it was just a normal family gathering, a chance for us to reconnect after a long period of separation. Kyle and I had been through our share of struggles, but I believed we could make it work. My mom had spent years pushing us to fix things, and I wanted to believe her. But when the truth hit, it came with the force of a freight train. I still remember the exact moment. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I just finished a long day at work and was hoping for a quiet evening at home. But the silence in the house was eerie. Kyle wasn't home yet, and the kids weren't anywhere to be found. That's when I saw her, Ashley, sitting at the kitchen table, her eyes glued to her phone, as if avoiding the world. I asked where the kids were, but she didn't answer. Instead, I heard faint voices coming from the back of the house, muffled but unmistakable. I walked toward the sound, confusion knotting in my stomach. When I reached the hallway, I caught sight of them, my daughters, huddled together on the couch, whispering. The words they said pierced through me like a knife. "We don't even have to call Dad anymore," one of them said. "He's not our real father." The room spun around me. How could they say that? How could they think that? I'd been there for them through everything. Every scraped knee, every school play, every nightmare they couldn't shake. I'd been their father, and now, just like that, they were dismissing me. I should have confronted them right then, but I couldn't. I backed away quietly, my heart pounding in my chest, trying to make sense of it all. The rest of the evening was a blur. The girls barely looked at me, their eyes cold, their voices distant. Kyle came home late, as usual, and we ate dinner in silence. It was like we were strangers living under the same roof. That night, I stayed awake long after everyone else had gone to bed. The words echoed in my mind. Not our real father. How had we gotten here? What had I missed? The next morning, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I confronted Kyle. "Do you think I'm not their father?" I asked, my voice tight. He just shrugged, avoiding my gaze. "You know how they are. They're just going through something. Something broke in me then. I had given everything for this family. And now, it seemed like everything I did was meaningless. I packed my things that day. I couldn't stay in that house any longer, not with Kyle's silence suffocating me, not with Ashley's betrayal hanging over my head like a dark cloud. When I called my mom, she didn't understand. She wanted me to fix things. She wanted me to forgive Kyle, to put the family first. But I couldn't. Not anymore. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "You've always been the one who fixes things." "Not anymore," I told her. "I'm done." But as the days turned into weeks, the guilt began to eat at me. My husband, my mother, my sister, had I overreacted? Was I being selfish for choosing myself this time? I don't know anymore. 2 weeks passed since I left. 2 weeks of silence, of living in a small apartment with nothing but the hum of the fridge and the occasional phone call from my mom, asking me to come back, to make peace. But there was no peace to be made. Kyle had crossed a line that I couldn't unsee, and Ashley? She'd been the catalyst for the storm that had torn my world apart. It was a cold Wednesday evening when the first message came through, an unknown number. I almost didn't open it, convinced it was just another attempt from my mom to convince me to come home. But then I saw the name attached to the message. Kyle. I clicked on the message, half expecting some form of apology. Instead, it was a confession. "I never wanted to hurt you. I thought I could fix things with Ashley and you'd never know. But now, everything's falling apart, and it's my fault. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need to tell you the truth. I never loved her the way I loved you. But I'm scared that I've ruined everything. Please, I want to fix it." I stared at the message for a long time, reading it over and over, letting the words sink in. It was a pathetic attempt at redemption, a string of words that meant nothing now. Nothing could erase what they had done. But still, part of me couldn't ignore the pang of familiarity in his words. The ache in his apology felt like it was meant for a version of me I no longer recognized. For a brief moment, I almost thought about calling him back, hearing him out, just to understand. But then I remembered the look in Ashley's eyes when she told me I wasn't her father anymore. The way she'd dismissed everything I had given her. No. I wouldn't go back. Not for him. Not for any of them. That night, I lay in bed, the weight of his words pressing down on me, but a part of me still wanted to know. Why did Ashley do it? And why, after everything, did Kyle still think we could fix things? The next morning, as I was getting my coffee, my phone buzzed again. This time it was my brother-in-law, Matt. "Hey," the message started, casual, but I could sense the tension in the words. "I know things are tense, but I think you should know something." I felt a tightness in my chest. Every part of me wanted to ignore it, but something in his tone kept me from putting my phone down. "Listen, I don't want to get involved, but you should know. Ashley's not with Kyle anymore." I froze. The words didn't make sense. The entire reason everything had fallen apart was because of them. So why was she no longer with him? I called Matt immediately, needing to hear the details. He answered after a few rings, his voice heavy. "They've been arguing for weeks. It's been bad. Ashley left him last week, and now she's staying with a friend. She's telling everyone she doesn't want anything to do with Kyle anymore, but I don't know if she's just doing it to look better. The whole thing's a mess." I took a long, shaky breath, feeling a mix of disbelief and something else. Relief? Anger? Something twisted inside me, but it wasn't enough to settle the confusion. What had I just heard? "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, my voice tight. "I just thought you should know," Matt said, pausing. "You've been through a lot. I don't know if it helps, but if you want to talk to her, you could. She's not handling it well." I ended the call, the words swirling in my head. Ashley left Kyle? After everything they put me through, she just walked away from him? Was it guilt? Was it because things weren't working out between them? Or was this her way of finally making a clean break? That day, the strangest feeling washed over me. I had been so caught up in my own pain, in the betrayal, that I hadn't stopped to consider what Ashley might be feeling. Was she truly remorseful? Did she feel the same anger I did? Was she finally confronting the choices she'd made? By the time evening came, I was on the phone with her. "Why?" was all I could say when she picked up. Her voice was unsteady when she spoke. "I don't know what to say, but I know what I did was wrong. I thought I could be with him and fix everything. But I couldn't. I was scared, and I thought if I kept lying to you, I could make everything okay." I didn't say anything for a long time. The silence between us felt heavy, like it was suffocating us both. And then, finally, I spoke. "You ruined everything, Ashley," I said, my voice hard. "And now, you expect me to feel sorry for you?" "I didn't want this," she whispered. I was lost. We talked for hours that night, and with every word, I felt the walls I had built around myself start to crumble. Her regrets were genuine, but so were mine. And in that moment, I wasn't sure if forgiving her was what I needed or if I just needed to walk away completely. The next few days passed in a strange haze. It was like I was caught between two worlds, one where my old life was falling apart, and another where I was being pulled back into the mess I tried so hard to escape. My phone buzzed constantly with calls and texts, some from my mom, some from Kyle, and others from people I hadn't heard from in years. But the one that stood out was from Ashley. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," she had written. "I just need you to know I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Please, let's talk." At first, I ignored it. What could she possibly say that would make any of this better? She had made her choices, and now she had to deal with the consequences. But then I remembered her voice on the phone, the vulnerability, the regret. A part of me, the part that still cared about her, was tempted to hear her out. I called her back, not sure what to expect. "Ashley," I said, my voice sharp, "what do you want from me?" There was a long pause before she responded. "I don't want you to fix anything. I don't want you to forgive me. But I need you to understand that I never wanted to hurt you. I thought I could have both. But now I see that I've lost everything, including you." Her words echoed in my mind as she continued, describing how everything between her and Kyle had unraveled. How the lies, the guilt, and the distance had worn them both down. How, in the end, she had realized that the person she should have been protecting all along was me, not herself, not Kyle. "Do you think we can ever fix this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I leaned back in my chair, feeling the weight of her words pressing down on me. My first instinct was to shut it all down. To hang up, to walk away, to tell her that what she did was unforgivable and that she was dead to me. But it wasn't that simple. "I don't know," I replied, my own voice shaky with emotion. "I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't know if I can forgive myself for not seeing this coming." She didn't respond for a moment. Then, finally, she spoke again, her words soft but firm. "I'm not asking for forgiveness right now. I just need you to know I'm sorry. And I'll live with that for the rest of my life." The silence between us was heavy. That night, as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted in me. I had spent so much of my life trying to fix things, trying to make everyone else happy, trying to hold things together. But I had never stopped to ask myself if I was happy. If this life, this family, was really worth the pain I was putting myself through. The truth was, I didn't know if I could forgive Ashley or Kyle. I didn't know if I could ever go back to them. But I also didn't know if I could keep living with the anger and resentment that had been building up inside me. I needed to make a choice. I needed to let go of the past, or I would drown in it. The next day, I packed up my things, my clothes, my books, the little trinkets I had kept for years. It wasn't just about leaving the apartment, it was about leaving everything behind. Kyle, Ashley, my family, the betrayal. I took a deep breath as I walked out the door, knowing that whatever happened next, it would be my decision. The phone calls kept coming, my mom, Kyle, even Ashley, but I didn't pick up. I couldn't keep living like this. As I drove to the quiet cabin I had rented for the weekend, I thought about the life I had left behind. The life that had been full of love, but also full of betrayal. I had to ask myself, was it worth saving? Or had it already fallen apart beyond repair? When I finally arrived at the cabin, I stepped out of the car, feeling a strange sense of relief. The snow crunched beneath my boots as I walked toward the door, the cold air biting at my skin. It was silent, peaceful. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. I sat on the porch, looking out over the snow-covered landscape. The sun was setting in the distance, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. And that's when it hit me. I didn't need to forgive Ashley or Kyle. I didn't need to fix anything. I just needed to be okay with myself. To stop trying to repair what was never mine to fix. I didn't know what the future held. But in that moment, I was free. The days that followed in that little cabin felt like a cleansing. The first few days were spent in a strange state of numbness. I couldn't bring myself to check my phone. I didn't want to hear from anyone, didn't want to answer questions or revisit the past. For the first time in months, I allowed myself to just breathe, to not be caught in the endless web of guilt, anger, and family drama. But the isolation didn't last long. By the third day, I started feeling the stirrings of something I hadn't felt in years, clarity. The quiet allowed me to think without the constant noise of other people's expectations, without the endless phone calls or texts from my mom, my siblings, or even Kyle. There were no demands on my time. No one was waiting for me to save them or apologize for things I hadn't done. It was like waking up from a long nightmare. But then, late one evening, I got a message that shattered the fragile peace I had begun to build. It was from Kyle. I opened it without thinking. You need to talk to me, please. I stared at the message for a long time. My heart pounded in my chest, a knot tightening in my stomach. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part of me, the part that still loved him, that still cared, was fighting to know what he had to say. I opened the message. I've been trying to reach you for weeks, he wrote. I need to explain myself. I can't go on like this. Please, just let me explain. I sat there for a long time, the words swimming in front of me. I could feel my pulse quicken, the anger bubbling up once more, mixing with the sadness that had consumed me for months. I wanted to yell at him, to tell him how much he had hurt me, how he had betrayed me in ways I couldn't even put into words. But instead, I took a deep breath and typed out a response. What do you need to explain? What's left to say? I hit send and waited, my heart in my throat. I didn't know why I was still holding on to this need for answers. Maybe it was just the last thread of connection between us, the last piece of hope that had been buried beneath all the lies and deceit. He responded quickly. It's not what you think. I never wanted to hurt you, but I've done a lot of thinking. I've realized that everything went wrong the moment I let my mom get involved. I should have protected you from her. I should have protected us. You think this is about your mom? I typed, fury rising in my chest. This isn't about her. It's about you and Ashley. You betrayed me. All of you. I felt the tears pricking at the back of my eyes, and I quickly wiped them away. There would be no crying. Not this time. I know, he wrote back, his tone soft. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I want you to know that I'm doing everything I can to fix this. I've talked to Ashley. We're not together anymore. She left, and I've cut off all contact with my family. I couldn't believe it. My mind raced. She left him? After everything? I thought about it for a moment, trying to piece everything together. The past few weeks, the messages from Matt about Ashley and Kyle's breakup, it all started to make sense. Kyle had made a choice. He had chosen to try and repair things with me, to fix the mess they had made. But was it too late? I sat back, staring at the screen, feeling the weight of the decision I would have to make. Could I really let him back in? After everything? After all the hurt? I typed out a message, my fingers trembling on the keys. I don't know if I can forgive you, Kyle. I don't know if I can ever look at you the same way again. But I need time. I need space to figure this out. You're right, it wasn't just Ashley. It was you too. You both betrayed me. I hit send and felt an odd sense of finality. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was holding on to something that was already broken. I wasn't going to fix Kyle. I wasn't going to fix Ashley. I was going to fix myself. The next morning, I packed my things from the cabin, feeling a sense of freedom as I left the quiet behind. I didn't know where I was headed, but I was ready to find out. Maybe I'd move to a new city. Maybe I'd start over entirely. But whatever happened, it was going to be on my terms. As I drove, I found myself in a familiar part of town. The place where I'd grown up. It wasn't intentional. I didn't plan on stopping, but as I turned the corner, my eyes fell on the old house. My childhood home. I hadn't been back since I left it all behind. I parked the car and stepped out, my boots crunching in the snow. For a moment, I just stood there, staring at the house. It looked different now. Smaller. The windows were fogged over, and the front door had a fresh coat of paint. I hadn't realized until now how much time had passed. I walked up the driveway and knocked on the door. A few seconds passed, and then the door creaked open. And there stood my mom. She looked at me, her face a mixture of surprise and something else I couldn't quite place. "Mom," I said softly, my voice trembling. "We need to talk." I stood there in the doorway, the cold air of the night seeping in through the small crack between the door and the frame. The house felt foreign to me now, a place that once promised warmth but had instead become the setting of my greatest heartbreak. I stared at my mom, the woman who had raised me, the one who was supposed to protect me, and yet she had betrayed me in the most fundamental way. She looked small. I hadn't expected that. My mom, who had always been the pillar of our family, who had made me feel like I could do anything, now seemed frail, as if the weight of her decisions was too much for her to carry. Her face softened, her lips trembling. "I didn't choose them over you," she said, her voice quiet, almost pleading. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought if I kept pushing, kept fighting for the family, it would work out. But I was wrong. I can see that now." I let out a breath, but it was sharp, edged with years of suppressed anger. "You think I can just accept that? You think I can just forgive you because you thought you were doing the right thing?" I had spent so long trying to live up to everyone else's expectations, trying to fix everyone's problems, trying to make them happy, even when they didn't deserve it. And for what? To be cast aside the moment my own pain became too much for them to ignore? I wasn't angry anymore, not in the way I used to be. Now, I just felt tired. Tired of the lies. Tired of the manipulation. Tired of trying to make a family out of broken pieces. I was always the one who fixed things, right? I said, my voice cold, the words coming out sharper than I intended. The one who cleaned up everyone's mess. The one who sacrificed for everyone else. And you think I can just sit here and listen to you say that? That you were just trying to fix the family? I could see her eyes flicker with shame, but it wasn't enough. Not after everything. Her hands trembled as she reached for me, like she wanted to touch my arm, to make it all better. But I pulled back before she could. I wasn't ready to forgive. Not now. Not after everything. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered. "But I see that I did. I see that now." I took a step back. "And you think that changes everything?" It felt like I was speaking to a stranger, someone I didn't even recognize anymore. And maybe that's exactly what she had become. Someone unrecognizable. I could feel the years of built-up resentment clawing at me, trying to break free. But I wouldn't let it. Not yet. Not until I was ready. "Mom," I said, my voice still tight, but this time with the weight of finality. "I've spent my whole life trying to make you proud. Trying to make this family work. But you let them tear us apart. You let Kyle and Ashley destroy everything." Her shoulders slumped, and for a second, I thought she might crumble. "I'm sorry," she said, almost too quietly. "I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. I can't keep trying to fix everything anymore," I continued. "Not for you. Not for Kyle. Not for Ashley. I'm tired, Mom. And I'm done." I turned away from her then, the weight of my decision heavy but necessary. I didn't know if I would ever find peace, but I knew I couldn't live like this anymore. But just as I reached the door, she spoke again. "I love you. I always have. Even when I didn't know how to show it." I froze for a moment. Those words, those simple words, they carried a lifetime of unspoken regret. I knew she loved me. I always had. But love, sometimes, isn't enough. "I know," I said softly, without looking back. "But I can't keep letting you choose them over me. Not again." I walked out, the door clicking shut behind me. The cold hit me like a slap, the biting wind nipping at my skin. For the first time in what felt like forever, I could breathe. The night was clear, the stars scattered across the sky like pinpricks in the black canvas above. I stood there for a moment, taking it all in the cold, the quiet, the space between us. I had made my choice. I wasn't going to fix what was broken anymore. I wasn't going to play the martyr. I climbed into my car, the engine roaring to life as I drove away, leaving that house and everything it represented behind. I didn't know what the future held. But for the first time in a long time, I was free. The road ahead was unknown, but it didn't matter anymore. Because it was mine. It was my life. And no one was going to dictate how I lived it anymore. I drove through the empty streets, not caring where I was headed. The horizon was dark, but there was a flicker of light on the edge, like a promise of something better. I didn't need answers. I didn't need to go back to the past. What I needed was to move forward. And as I drove into the unknown, I knew that whatever came next, I was going to face it on my own terms. The end of one chapter, and the beginning of a new one.